Welcome back to The Free Life. Today, we're continuing our conversation with Dr. Brooke Jones, founder and CEO of Stronger Women, a faith-based program designed to help women reclaim what abuse took away. At Freedom Place, we actually use this curriculum. In fact, this past week, we graduated 8 women from Stronger. In this episode, you'll get to hear a little bit of their testimonies. So, sit back and enjoy these amazing stories of restoration.
Stronger Than Espresso was created, it was created to be a place where survivors could come.
Yes.
It was a faith-based solution.
Right.
That could be easily accessible, affordable,
Right.
that could be within the church walls and community, and so survivors could find healing there.
So at Freedom Place, we use your curriculum, and it's now called Stronger Women. And it was originally Stronger Than Espresso. We love espresso and Jesus and Java, and so it gels well with us. But at Freedom Place, we are about to graduate our first class, about 8 ladies out of your program. And we've seen amazing transformation in these women, and we truly respect and admire your curriculum.
So how did Stronger Women change your life?
Stronger Women has changed my life by helping me to be able to set boundaries and that it's okay to say no. Anything that we do, we have to have boundaries, and I've never been good at that. I've never been good at saying no. And so that's what's brought me here to this class, because this was all I ever knew, was trying to please everybody. So Stronger Women has actually made me become a stronger woman. It makes you really dive into your emotions and what's going on in your mind, and you start to retrain yourself, and you start to rethink about how you're even going to have a closer walk with God out of it. It's really, I know it's brought me closer to God. I know that.
Amazing.
I thought everything happened in my life is my fault, so that made me put myself down, and I cannot even look people eye and talk. Now look at me now.
I mean, it is direct eye contact. You're looking in my soul. And you know what? When I first met you,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you that well, but your countenance has changed. You are just like bubbling now, like with laughter.
The biggest thing is the freedom. Going through Stronger Women, I was able to identify why I made choices the way I did, why I stayed in situations that I did, and the healthy way to let those things go, that I could give them to God, and then he totally took that away, and that was just, it was freeing. You know, saying something like chains are lifted and things like that sounds like a pat answer, but it is that kind of heaviness that's released. And I'm, in my 60s and have been dealing with this for, since I was 17 years old. And this is the first program could, in a Christ-like way, bring it to the surface where you truly feel free.
Well, Stronger Women changed my life because I thought that I had dealt with all this stuff. My abuses were in the past, and it brought up so much of the stuff that was buried, but yet still affected my everyday life, and I had no clue. And so when it pulls that up, and I can look at it, and I can see scriptures to put onto it, and being able to speak the word aloud onto it, it's changed a lot of things.
It was missing then, and it's still missing today.
Yes.
I knocked on many, many, many doors, and I was the lady who wouldn't go away.
Right.
There's that lady peddling her domestic violence program.
Right.
A lot of churches told me no. And then my own pastor at my church, this was a church in McKinney, I think he just was like, all right, she's not going to stop, you know. And he said, you know what, you can have a group here. And that was in 2013, February 2013. And that's when we started the first support group.
Wow.
And then I started teaching them. And what I discovered is we could bring women all different ages, all different backgrounds. Many of them were, only one was a member of the church. Most of the people who had attended weren't church members at all.
Oh, wow.
But they had a connection to biblical teaching.
Right.
They were close or estranged from Jesus, and they were finding their way back, and they needed a new place. And so people kept coming, and the healing kept happening. And there was a lot of criticism in terms of what we were creating, because with Stronger, we were unique because we were a faith-based solution.
Yes.
We were not secular, right? And people were like, well, who are you? What experience do you have?
Right.
To me. And I thought, well, I'm a survivor, but that didn't give a lot of weight to, well, do you know how to treat people in mental health situations? And do you know this? And I kept saying, I know what God gave me through the years, and I know that there's something valid to this. What's interesting is God is, again, but God, right? We go back to this. Over the years, the curriculum in that book has been overlaid with Brene Brown's shame theory that she wrote for mental health, for other different significant mental health therapies, and it works. So the information in there, the activities in there follow mental health protocols, but what was happening was God was preparing it all beforehand.
Exactly.
And my background is in education. So I have a master's degree in education. And so I've done a lot of corporate training and curriculum writing. So I have a lot of experience in terms of the education and learning side. And so I brought it from that lens, and then God brought the rest. And so what we discovered as we started asking participants who graduated, what was the most valuable part? And things like I got my smile back, I learned about myself. But one key thing is they kept saying, I'm a better parent.
Oh, wow.
I'm a better parent.
Right.
I'm a better parent. And we thought, we aren't directly teaching parenting skills, but we're teaching biblical truths, biblical values. We're teaching people how to become aware of their own emotions, how to self-regulate those emotions, how to communicate, how to set a boundary. You know, all of those things allowed them to be a better person for themselves, and then they can be a better parent
for the next generation.
And so that's the important piece of it. And then about 30% of our graduates in these survivor support groups wanted to go on and be trained as a facilitator.
Awesome.
And so they can lead their groups. That's really an exponential process, and that's really a biblical model.
What I want to encourage you and just everyone that's listening, as we've journeyed into helping minister to people of domestic violence situations, what I discovered out there's a plethora of clinical, very medical, institutional answers. In fact, I Googled many times, and every conference that's out there is 4 or 5 days. It's stocked full of doctors and therapists, and just reading some of the classes you could take intimidated me.
What is the role of technology in abuse? Let's start with a definition of domestic violence. Domestic violence is purposeful
but technically
and deliberate
speaking, if you're going to be technically correct, domestic violence and intimate partner violence mean dating or a married partner.
This is it.
And
It's the notion that,
violence
as a man, in relationship with a woman, I believe that I can be dominated, controlled, use physical violence.
And it was definitely, I saw that none of those would be you'd send an average person to. All of those conferences are for high-level clinical people and educators to talk and discuss, I guess, approaches and therapies. What's different about Purple, that's at Freedom Place coming up on October the 8th, our goal for this conference is to simply raise awareness to the average person in every local community, starting in Rowlett, and then to provide resources and network DV organizations so that we can build a stronger support system within our community of Rowlett. And then our long-term goal is to help duplicate that in other cities, starting with churches. Because every city, no matter how big or small, has those components of faith, like churches. They have families. They have a school system. They have government, and they have businesses and commerce, no matter how big or large. They all have those. And so we want to help in all 5 of those areas bring awareness to this, because it affects every one of them. And to the average person that hears about Purple Conference, let's just say they have never experienced DV or even known anyone involved in domestic violence, why would you suggest that they would come, Dr. Brooke, to an event like this? In other words, what would they benefit from it?
Well, I think that's a great question, because coming to the Purple Conference, there's going to be something for everyone, right? If you're wondering or on the fence, should I go? We had used a phrase for many, many years, you know someone. With the statistics that you even said earlier,
yes,
it's 1 in 3 women have experienced domestic violence. 1 in 3 teenagers. We also know 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 men are experiencing. Yes. So we may not realize that what we're seeing is domestic violence, but we do know someone. Each of us knows someone. If you talk to a friend and they say, you know, I've tried everything in this relationship to make it work. I'm walking on eggshells, but I just can't get them to stop being so angry. I don't know what else to do. Those are some warning signs that friend or that family member could be in an abusive situation.
Oh, yes.
There's a place for people who've had abuse in their past at the Purple Conference.
Yes.
There's a place for people who are church leaders, community leaders, people who want to volunteer and get involved.
Almost certainly.
There's a place for them to learn, how can I connect? And there's a place for them to find resources, because the most difficult thing, whether you're a pastor, a business owner, or just a friend, someone is sitting across the table from you and they're sharing this difficult situation that they're in.
Yes.
And you think, what do I do? Who do I call? I'm not sure how to respond.
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing that they're going to get the first step of the journey at the Purple Conference. So if they've heard about it, they need to be there, because it's going to make a change in their life.
That's interesting. Yes, and I thank you for sharing that with everyone that's listening to this. And ironically, this morning I was at a community event. It was a commerce event, lots of businesses, and I'm sharing about the Purple Vision to everywhere I go. And I was just simply sharing with all these business owners about this to see how they could partner or at least spread the word. And after that, a man came around and waited till everyone had gone, and I was working on some stuff on my laptop, and he came over to me and said, hey, how can I help with this? And I shared a few ways he could connect. He said, I want you to know it's not happening in my family. And it was funny that he would say that, because he was like making sure I didn't think he was a perpetrator or I don't really know what, but there was definitely a wall of like, hey, let me just make sure you know I'm just wanting to help. And I said, oh, that's fine. We want everybody to help. And he said it this way. He said, one thing I do know, I don't know about it from a woman's perspective, but from a man's perspective, growing up in a home of domestic violence, I do know that. I remember that as a young man, and I want to know how I can help. And so I began to explain to him it's how he can help. So this is not just a woman's conference. It's for men as well. It's for business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders. As we close out today, again, both you and I are committed Christ followers. We've been praying for you. We want you to pray for us. I want you to pray specifically as well, if you would, for me to reach pastors and church leaders, because that'll be the key component to bringing this to other churches and other cities in our community. And I'd again just want to thank you, Dr. Brooke Jones, for coming on the Free Life podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and we look forward to hearing from you again at the Purple Conference. So again, if people didn't catch on, you are one of the keynote speakers October the 8th. and you'll have all your curriculum support team there. We're going to have a great lunch. There's going to be a lot of gifts given away. It's going to be a wonderful celebration time of us bringing freedom and hope to our community with that. Any last words that you'd like to share on the Free Life podcast today?
You know, I'm so excited to be there on October the 8th at the Purple Conference. I just will be praying for you and praying for everyone. You know, again, just going back to this idea, do I know someone? Everybody has a mother. Everybody had a grandmother. You might have a sister. You might have a sister-in-law. You might have a daughter, a daughter-in-law, a niece. Right, so when we even look at our own family, just the numbers would suggest that there really is someone that you know. So why don't you grab some friends and meet us at the Purple Conference on October the 8th. We can't wait to see you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me today. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.